So in today's video, we're going to talk about Stefon Diggs and how within the last year his image is beginning to take a bit of a hit. And this is just like an ongoing theme in the NFL when it comes to star wide receivers, where they just feel like they are the greatest thing on the field at all times, and the ego just gets so big that people end up disliking them. And like most wide receivers that this happens to, the majority of the blame is on him because of how he acts, even though he isn't 100% in the wrong all the time. And we'll listen to Chad and Shannon talk about both sides of this in a bit. But it just seems like it's impossible for star receivers in the league to not become spoiled crybabies by the time their career is over. So yeah, we'll start with the game during this weekend against the Chiefs. One of the most talked about moments is this ball thrown to Stefon Diggs that he had go right through his hands. And drops happen in the NFL. It was a big deal for sure, but mistakes happen. But people online are just ripping into Stefon Diggs because of this. And the reason this has become such a major talking point around the sports world is because Stefon has created such a spotlight on himself with all the antics that he's done in the last year that has created an environment where people really just want him to be humbled. So when moments like this happen, everyone is just ready to jump all over him. And we'll hear Chad Johnson defend Stefon here, but Shannon counters his argument really well by explaining to Chad that it's understandable to want the ball more in big moments, but when you start to openly complain and make comments about your quarterback and act like everyone is wrong but you, then you need to show up in these clutch moments. Otherwise, everyone is just going to hate on you.
But again, I look at people like Puka Nacua and doing what he did over there with the Rams as a rookie, fifth round pick, and then I look at the Bills having someone that is proven at the receiver position and them not putting him in position to succeed and put up the numbers similar to what Puka Nacua was able to do, it just doesn't sit right with me because you have a player that is very efficient that can help your offense and put you in positions and change the dynamic of the game at any point, and you don't use him that way. You use it more as a goddamn decoy.
Ocho,
It's just weird to me. It's just weird to me.
is
Yes,
that
sir.
Buffalo's offense? So you want me to scrap my offense that we run and to do it what they do
No, you don't have to scrap your offense. You put Stefon Diggs in positions to make the plays, to keep the ball moving down the
so
field.
but when
That's
they
all.
put him in position and he dropped the ball, then whose fault is that?
Come on, we talk about one play. Don't do me
No,
like
no, no,
that.
no. So he only dropped one ball this year.
Okay, he dropped two.
No, that's last night. Pro Football Focus credit
Yeah.
Diggs with eight drops this season, the fourth most this season.
The fourth? You serious? It's very difficult to catch every single ball that's thrown your way. As much as you work on it, you've been playing football since you was 8 years old,
Yes.
and you get to the highest level. At some point, you're gonna drop balls sometime.
That's why you keep your mouth shut when you don't get the ball. Because when you keep running your mouth when you don't get the ball and they throw you the ball and then you drop it, then what, Ocho? Now everybody in the stands looking at you. You talk about you want the ball, he threw it to you, you didn't catch it. Now you looking like Boo Boo the fool.
If you have a dynamic playmaker like Stefon Diggs and he drop a ball, you don't get mad at him because you keep coming to it because you understand
No,
what he can do for you.
but you can't keep saying pass me the ball, and when I pass you the ball, you keep missing shots. Because what they gonna do? They're gonna call the play for somebody else.
You right. You right. I'm with you when you're right. That's one thing about it. I can't.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna argue just to argue.
And all this hate towards Stefon Diggs really started at last year's playoffs where the Bills had lost to the Bengals, and we kept getting shown this clip of Stefon seemingly yelling at Josh Allen on the sidelines for not getting him the ball. Typical wide receiver thing to do. They love to cut blame on the quarterbacks and the coaches for not letting them be great, but when the time comes to be great and they don't show up, they think that they're getting unfair criticism from the fans and everyone. So yeah, after that loss to the Bengals, Stefon went back to the locker room and then immediately left without sticking around with the team. And this guy is a captain, keep in mind, so definitely not a good look from someone you expect to create unity within, the team and the organization. But again, when you give people credentials and call them superstars and give them a bunch of money and you make them captains, they feel like they're better and more entitled than everyone else. And these guys all act the same way in the aftermath, where they play it off as them just being really competitive and they act this way because they just care so much about winning. Meanwhile, you have a team of guys who are just as good at their position, who obviously care just as much as him, and who don't bail on their team and point fingers in times of needed leadership. But again, receivers, man, it's just the mindset of a wide receiver. A lot of the stars are just incredibly self-centered. So after the Bengals lost, this ended up leading to Diggs not showing up for minicamp during the preseason of this year. Again, another way for him to bring some unity to the team as a captain, but he's more focused on making some type of point to his quarterback and the coach and the team for not getting him the ball during the playoffs after signing for a guaranteed $70 million. So it's just really crazy, this whole thing. And the main problem doesn't seem to be Stefon Diggs and the team necessarily. He really just has an issue with Josh Allen for whatever reason. And Josh Allen talked about how things were cool with him and Diggs before this season started during the Rich Eisen show.
Stefon Diggs and you needed to have a hug out this past summer after a spring in which you guys didn't really communicate with each other. What do you say there, Josh?
We hugged it out.
You hugged it out. You did hug it out. You did it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You hugged it out,
Yeah.
and this thing is too bad. Whatever the thing was. Was there a thing, Josh?
There wasn't. But it's whatever it was, whatever the media made it, it's way back there.
So Diggs, you and Diggs, we're same page, reading from the same book. Everything's cool, is what you're saying.
We're reading the same word right now.
Okay. Wow. That's definitely on the same page. I like it. Same letter? Same letter? Let's just get it right.
Same letter.
Okay.
We're pronouncing it at the same exact time.
What is the word you're reading then? What's the word you're reading together?
Win. We're trying to win.
But then as soon as things get even remotely bad during the season, Diggs goes right back into being overly dramatic. But this time during the season, the complaining was from his brother Trayvon, so I guess this type of stuff runs in the family because Trayvon started ranting on Twitter because Diggs didn't get the ball in a close loss against the Broncos during the beginning of the season. And I guess the entire world revolves around these guys and their personal life, so it's hard for them to turn it off when it comes to bigger situations where there's a lot more people involved. I don't know. And there have been rumors that Diggs will want to leave the Bills, but it doesn't seem possible considering all the money they would owe to him. But I'm sure if he creates enough controversy and tries to spin all of the blame on the Josh Allen, then eventually their relationship will be so damaged that the team will have to get rid of him. And he'll just move on to another team, never really learning any type of lesson about being a mature professional. But hey, what do I know? These are just my thoughts from someone that's on the outside looking in. Maybe Josh Allen really is the problem, and if they threw the ball to Diggs 25 times a game, then they would never lose because he's just that good, you know? But when the time came to show up and make the big play he's been asking for, he didn't do it, and that's all right. You can't be perfect. But when you act in the way that Diggs has acted for the past year, you have to accept the fact that a drop catch like this is going to bring a lot of negativity your way. But these guys have a hard time understanding that because they feel that they're right all the time, and everyone else are just a bunch of haters. And this is something that we saw with Odell Beckham a few years back. I mean, he was a real superstar in the league, and after a while, it just seems to clearly get to his head. And as fans, we love them for what they do on the field and like their abilities, and it's great to see these guys actually care and show emotion, but it gets to the point where it seems like they've just completely lost connection with the reality and the team, and they're just totally consumed with themselves and their own feelings. So hopefully things change. I would love to see Stefon Diggs take a more humble approach to these situations because it seems like the universe will end up just teaching these guys a tough lesson in humility if they don't figure it out on their own while they're at the top. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Can Diggs and the Bills turn this thing around, or is it just kind of gotten to the point where there's no use anymore? And also make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.